For this fishing lure, I'm going to wipe it down with isopropyl alcohol. It'll leave it nice and clean and it'll be ready for the next step, and we'll dry that with a hairdryer. You may need to use an adhesion promoter depending on the lures you have, or even sanding. For undercoating this lure, we've chosen Autoborne Sealer Blue. We've reduced it about 20% with high performance reducer, and we'll put down a couple of coats and we'll dry that in between coats. Now, as far as our hardware is concerned, we've chosen the Iwata Neo TRN2. It's a trigger handled airbrush. It's a 0.5mm, which is suited to the Autoborne sealer, and it's like a spray gun, so when you release the trigger, so does the air and the material stop. It's very easy to use for first time users and advanced airbrush artists. So if you want a speedboat look and you just want insane flakes on any of your fishing lures, then I suggest you use anything from the Autowear Colors Sparklescent range. They all glow, they all are insane. But for this lure, we're going to use the Nitemare Blue. It is sparklescent and this will glow like nothing else. We want a subtle colour transition, so we're going to use the Autowear Colors Iridescent Purple, being reduced about 10% with high performance reducer. For this, I'm now going to select the Neo TRM1, which is a 0.35mm for my water. It's still a trigger handle. That means I can control how much paint I want to put down with this airbrush. Now we're using also the Autowear Colors Snacks Fishing Lure Stencil Set, and we've selected the one that's got the scallops on the side, and the scallops have scale representations in the middle. We'll put down a coat, we'll dry it, and then we'll put down another coat and dry it, and then we'll move the stencil along and continue the design until we get to the end of the fishing lure on the lateral line. Now, being purple against blue, what will happen is we'll get a nice subtle change between the colours, and the purple will drop in and out depending on whether you're on side cast or directly looking at the lure. Before you go doing the other side, guys, this is a helpful tip for you. Because the paint on the stencil itself is going to be slightly tacky, if you go stick that on the other side of the lure, because you've got to reverse the stencil, it's going to stick to the lure. So if you go to the spray accessories section on the website at airbrushmegastore.com, grab yourself some big wipes, pick out one of those, put a little bit of high performance reducer on it and wipe down your stencil. The paint will come off within 5 to 10 seconds. Dry it off. You can now see exactly through your stencil again, perfect for relocating the other side and no paint transfer. Right now it looks a little bit unnatural. It looks like the scallops have been just stuck on the surface. So while we've got the iridescent purple in the airbrush, we're just going to blend the very tops of the scallops into the top of the fishing lure and put a coat over the top of the fishing lure. That'll make it look seamless and it'll look like the scales just come off the side of how they're meant to look. Time for the last step and we'll call it done. We're still going to use the iridescent purple, which is in our TRM1. That way, like the rest of the paint job, as you look from a side cast or direct on, you'll see the purple, then it will drop out. This will look really cool by the time it's done. So we've grabbed ourselves a Snacks Fishing Lure Stencil Set again. We've got the one which has got the gill rakes on it, and we've taped up around the outside the gill rakes, and we're just going to put in one coat and then we're going to dry it using the compressed air from the airbrush, and then after that we'll put in one heavy coat and we'll call it done. It's time to bring these colours to life with clear coat. So the products you've been using, they're all water-based base coats, but they are all automotive grade pigments, which means you can use acrylic lacquer clear, you can use 2-pack clear, you can dip them, you can have a look at YouTube. You will find there's many different ways to clear coat your fishing lures. But for this job, I'm going to use the acrylic lacquer clear that I found at Super Cheap Autos. It's Duplicolor and it works very well with these paints and it doesn't go yellow. A little bit about acrylic lacquer clear. If you've got warm to hot conditions, you can follow the manufacturer's specifications and you'll get a good result. But if you've got cold conditions like we've got now, we've got 2 degrees here right now, which means the substrate temperature of the fishing lure is going to be lower than that. If I try to clear it, what's going to happen is the clear is going to either react and crocodile or it's going to crack. It's not the paint we've put on, it's going to be the clear coat reacting to the cold weather. So what we're going to do is we're going to warm the fishing lure up by putting a fan heater in the area. And then we're going to put on a couple of coats, drying them with a hairdryer in between coats, and that's only going to take 10 to 15 seconds. Then we're going to build up our coats until we get it nice and glossy. Now, if you go for a really saturated coat, it is possible you can get bloom, being the fact that it's so cold, and that is going to be a white tinge. So I suggest you build up your coats medium to wet, and then when you've got it to a stage that you're happy with, call it done. These are the products we use to create our fishing lures, and they're all found at airbrushmegastore.com, except for the acrylic lacquer clear. If you need something you can't find it, send me an email, info@airbrushmegastore.com. I'm there to answer your questions. But for this kit, we use the Iwata PowerJet Pro. It's strong enough to run all day long. It comes with 2 different air lines on the unit, which means you can run a different air pressure to either side. That is suitable because we wanted to use the Iwata trigger airbrushes. They're both Neos. Why do we use these? Well, being a trigger, when you release the trigger, the airflow and the material stops. So if you're a beginner airbrush artist, you can get great results immediately. If you try to go straight to a trigger airbrush on top of the airbrush, you're going to find that it's going to be harder to use. It's going to take a lot longer to get the knack of it. Don't let that put you off. If that's what you want to do, go for it. But the trigger on the front of the airbrush allows you to get results very quickly. Now, as far as the needle sizes, we used a 0.5mm and a 0.35mm. So the 0.5mm you'd use for your undercoats and your flakes, and the 0.35mm you would use that for doing your more detailed work. So after this, we used the Autoborn sealers as our undercoat. We used Autowear Colors, Wicked Colors and Illustration Colors as our paint job colors. We used V-tape to tape up our designs, and we also used the Autowear Snacks Fishing Lure stencil set. Everyone needs to have these. It comes with a multitude of stencils in that set, different sizes. You can create your scales, your gill rakes, multiple designs. I can't see you doing fishing lures without them. And then we used a variety of Artl stencils, which gave us a great deal of different designs. So if you want to get the results that you've seen in this video, grab this gear and you'll get professional results too.